Today is February 27, 2024. I'm here in San Diego, downtown San Diego by the bay, right close to the airport, right across from Coronado. It's kind of a beautiful day out here, although it's looking like it's threatening to rain. But what I have here today is my Aunt Margo. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Aunt Margo on the mother's side of the family, and welcome everybody into this conversation that we're going to have. I'm glad to be back in San Diego.
Go ahead and give us your full name.
Full birth name is Merrie, M-E-R-R-I-E, Margo, M-E-R-G-O-T, Solis Felder.
Okay, Margo, so what I wanted to do is take this opportunity to do a little interview with you before you leave and get on the plane and go back to where do you live right now?
I currently live in Brooksville, Mississippi.
Okay, and so just as a quick breakdown of how you and I are related, your grandmother is my great-grandmother, right? Yes. So
Jenny Lewis.
So my great great grandmother. Okay, so my great grandmother and your mother were sisters. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and that's how we are related, and it comes down the pike. But I'm going to play, for lack of a better thing to say, 20 questions, because we don't have a lot of time. I wish we did have a lot more time to do this, because I feel like it's important for a family to have a little bit of history of what everybody who everybody is, what they represent, how they feel about certain things. But we'll go through the family history like real quick. So please tell us who your mother was and your father's name.
My mother is Janie Parker, Lewis Parker. Lewis is her mother's maiden name. And she was the third daughter. Well, actually, she was the third daughter to Jenny Lewis Parker. And my father is Trahidio Pagan Solis from Humacao, Puerto Rico.
Say that one more time because the car was going by. What's your father's name?
Trahidio Pagan Solis.
Okay.
And he was from Humacao, Puerto Rico.
Humacao? Humacao, Puerto Rico.
Part of Puerto Rico.
Okay, wonderful. Where did they meet?
In New York. They met through a friend of my father was my uncle Harry, and it was my uncle's friend, and they met. And I believe they met in probably 1939, and married and had 4 daughters.
Okay, and what are their names?
The oldest one is Victoria, deceased. I'm the second daughter. Claudia, she's third, deceased. And Florita, third, deceased. Fourth deceased, sorry.
Okay, so out of all the children, was everybody married? Let's start from the first daughter.
Yes, Victoria married a Borknight and had 6 children. And then...
Wait, before you go on, do you know the names of those 6 children?
Oh, I don't remember all of their names.
Okay.
Nadine, she was a twin, and he transitioned at 6 months. And then another child they had was a boy. His name was Nathaniel. And then another child they had was Jacques Pierre. And another one was Trahidio, named after his grandfather. And Isley was the youngest girl.
Okay, and now your second sister. I mean, the sister after
second.
You're the second. So, who did you marry, and how many kids do you have?
I married George Felder. We had 4 sons. George is now deceased, and George Jr. Mario, Darren, and Antonio.
Okay. And I'm just going to step into letting you tell me how many grandkids you have. You don't have to go through all the names, but just tell me how many grandkids you have and how
12 grandchildren and 17 great-grands.
Wow. Okay. All right. And then the next sister?
Claudia, my third sister. She married a Davis, and she had 4 children by Davis. Johnny Davis, the first one is Johnny. Clayton. They had another daughter. They had a daughter. Her name was, she's deceased also. It'll come to me.
Okay.
And then she had another son. What's his name? He's deceased too. She had 3. She lost 3 children.
Okay.
Every 2 years.
Okay.
And before she lost them, she married. Again, had 2 children after that.
Okay. Okay. And then the last daughter?
Florita.
Mm-hmm.
The youngest, she married Floyd Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
And she had 1 child. She had a daughter, Deadrian.
Mm-hmm.
And Floyd Thomas Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And then she remarried after they separated, transition. And the youngest one is Regina Morris.
Okay. All right. Wonderful.
Then I had my mother, after my father died, my mother 8 years later had a child. His name is Gene James, and we called him Pancho. He was 8 years younger than me.
Okay.
He transpired.
Okay. All right. By any chance, do you know all the names of your mother's brothers and sisters? Because give us a little bit about your grandmother real quick.
My grandmother was born in Whitesville, North Carolina, on the Powell Plantation. And she ended up, she had a child.
Wait. Let's start with her name, because you didn't say her name.
I said it earlier.
Okay.
Jenny Lewis.
Okay.
She was a Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
And her parents, let's see if I remember her parents' name. John
Dudley.
No. Dudley is your side. Remember I said
Yeah.
there's another name? That's
the name.
That's who Aunt Mariah.
Right.
Father.
Okay, so let's not worry about that.
Different.
Okay,
that's
so
right.
All
Dudley.
right.
Yes. And so she had a brother.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Frank.
Okay.
She had 1 brother. And then at an early age, she had a child.
Mm-hmm.
She conceived a child, which is
Mariah, which is my great grandmother.
She named her daughter, her first child, after her mother, Mariah Lewis.
Okay.
Right now, it's coming to me.
Okay.
And the father's name was Major Lee. That's his first name.
That's
Major Lee.
it. Now that's
Yes,
starting to
it's
come back to me.
yeah.
Yeah, now because those are the names that Aunt Cookie gave me. I was going to reach and try to find that stuff and pull it back out. But okay, go ahead.
So then she had a child, and she left it with a family.
Left it with her. She left my great grandmother with her father's side of the family. Okay. Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. And they were Dudleys.
Mm-hmm.
And then she went to New York to find work with some cousins in Brooklyn, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And stayed there, and then returned after several years to go see her daughter. And her daughter had never even, didn't remember her. And so they sort of acquainted themselves, and then she left again, and then went back to New York and married David Parker in 1909. She left for New York, I should say, in 1902.
Mm-hmm.
She left to go to New York.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, she had the first child, which is Mariah. And then once she married Parker, she had a second child, which was James David Parker. And then she had another daughter. Her name was Helen. And she died at the age of 18. And then she had a son, Theodore Parker, another son, Harry Parker, a daughter, which is my mother, Jenny Parker, and Frank Parker, son, and then Florence Parker.
So Uncle Frank, as big as he was the baby.
Well, that's only body weight.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't know why I thought that Uncle Frank was the oldest.
He was always around.
Yeah.
Uncle Jim always worked. They were all in the service.
Right.
They were all in the service.
Uh-huh.
And then when they came home, they, started acquainting themselves with. They stayed around my mother a lot because my father died.
Okay.
And he was in the service, in and out. And so they were always around all the children. And Frankie was always like man.
Yeah.
He would give you a nickel if you were able to answer a question. So he was the uncle of the family.
Yes.
That's
I remember Uncle Frank more than I remember
and
everybody.
No, Uncle Frank. They're all transitioned.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing to see his grandsons and his great-grandsons. Because they all look like him, and they all have that beautiful spirit about them,
And that's what Uncle Frank was. He had a great spirit.
Yes.
We would see Uncle Teddy. He would take us to camp every year. He had a station wagon.
Right.
Uncle Harry, we hardly ever saw him as much.
Right.
Uncle Jim, we would see him. He would always bring us presents.
Right.
The uncle that would always bring my mom great presents. And we were like the second. Your grandmother, Josephine.
No, not my grandmother. My grandmother is Annetta.
Okay.
Right. My grandmother is Annetta.
Yeah.
Josephine is Norman's grandmother. Yeah.
Yeah. They were sisters, Annetta and Josephine.
Right.
Because Mariah had 2 children.
Right.
2 girls. She ended up moving up to New York, and they all lived around each other. Our family was very close. Very close. And then after the uncles started, moving, they all got married.
Right.
And had their own children.
Well, that's a lot to go into, so we're going to stop it right there, because now everybody, you have how the breakdown goes pertaining to where you are. And what I would love for all of the grandkids to do, like for instance, I already did my family tree pertaining to my mother's side. I would love for one of your sons to do it, for Jenna to do it, just from up. Okay, but do it on video. Do it on video, because I sent the video to Sharina the other day for her to look at it, how I did it. I don't know if she shared it with you or not.
No.
But yeah, so I think each of us grandkids should take the time and just do the family tree on video, just from your level up. Your level up and level down, so that your kids can have it. It's very important for all of us to keep this stuff intact. Aunt Margo is the matriarch. She's the last surviving member of our elders, which is why I wanted to take the time to do this video right now and give her a chance to speak and everybody hear from her directly how all of the connections are made. Now we've talked about the past. Now I want to talk specifically about you. About what your dreams were in life, what your aspirations were, what you accomplished, and what you want to say to the rest of us that's going to be here after you're gone. So let's start with, what was your dream when you was younger? What did you want to do?
And I do want to interject.
Okay.
Grandma Jenny Lewis Parker.
Yes.
During the Marcus Garvey period, she purchased a ticket.
Oh.
Yes.
Back to Liberia.
Wherever they were going to go, and it was probably Liberia.
Yeah.
And it was the second group that went to Liberia. The first group died off from the diseases out there.
Okay.
She was part of it. So she was the Back to Africa movement, one of the largest Back to Africa movements.
I never knew that. That is awesome to know. That is awesome to know. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Ticket. And because of moving around, it was regular ticket. It was lost. Maybe she had it in a purse or whatever. But she was part of that. And my grandmother left that on me. Of all the sisters, I paid attention to those things. She would take me to when she went to vote. She was a strong voter. She believed in voting, so I would always go with her. My Aunt Florence, she would take me to her union meetings. She was a voter too. If there was a strike, I would go on the strike lines with her. My mother would take me different places. My grandmother sent me on my first trip by myself to Cape Charles, Virginia, because she wasn't able to attend, so I filled her spot. 10 years old. We would do that, but they trust me.
Right.
So I grew into that. I was always a curious child, always wanting to fix things. I could fix lamps. I could fix, change things around. And so even till this day, at 82 years old, I'm still doing construction, so I have worked in different fields and community organizer. I will go, born and raised in New York, left at 19, moved to a small town in Pennsylvania called Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, 20 miles outside of Philly. Met people there, met politicians, attended the March on Washington. We were the Lincoln Republicans. My family was Democrat, but the Lincoln Republicans. Most black people were because of Lincoln. So it was similar to the Democrats.
Can I ask, you said you did the March on Washington. Are you referring to the one in reference to MLK? That one?
Yes.
Okay, so what year was that?
I'm going to tell you that.
Okay.
I joined the NAACP in this little small town, and they organized going to the March on Washington. That was August 28, 1963. I'd already had a couple of children, and we were actually afraid because it was Jim Crow. We didn't know, crossing the Mason-Dixon line, what would happen. Fortunately, John Kennedy provided safe passage to Washington, D.C., so I was part of that. And then it continued on. I've been involved with many marches and demonstrations after that.
You went to the Million Man's March, didn't you?
I was one of the organizers from Philadelphia.
Right.
And then after living in this small town, I moved after 8 years into Philadelphia. And got involved with the politicians, and I was organizer there. So in 1995, we did the march on,
Million Man's March.
Yes, that was great. From Philadelphia, we did a train with 91 people on that train.
Wow.
That was great. That was just one of them. With Stevie Wonder, I took a group of young people to Washington. And Stevie Wonder was there to say, we want a birthday for Martin Luther King. It took 13 years to get his birthday, but we were there. And many marches after that. I enjoy, because I was involved at a young age, I influenced other young people to get involved, and we've done many trips with them. And every 2 years, in 1992, we started doing, going up to a dude ranch, inviting family. So we did that. Because of the COVID, we cut that out. So I moved in 1996, I retired from Philadelphia. I worked in the mayor's office and retired in 1996. The first black mayor in Philadelphia, W. Wilson.
I'm going to come up to you a little bit closer. Sorry, everybody, about the noise. The military base is right over there, over in Coronado. So I guess they doing their exercises and stuff. So I'm hoping that the sound is picking up really well pertaining to Aunt Margo talking. I believe it is, but I just wanted to let you know why there's so much background noise. But okay, Aunt Margo, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I continued my community organizing in Philadelphia. I worked as one of the supervisors of one of the 12 community offices in the Germantown area of Philadelphia. And like I said, I retired in 1996. And my son married a young lady, Dorothea, and that was she attended college in Philadelphia and wanted to go back home after.
You got to be specific. Which son? Which son is this?
This is the youngest son.
Okay.
Antonio.
Okay.
And they had already started their family, but she wanted to go back home. So they needed someone to help them raising these children. And I retired, left and went to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And was there for many, many years. And then in 2006, it was 2005 when Katrina hit. So my son and I wanted to go there to see if they needed any help. And that was very common. My mother did it. She went to Jamaica and different places. My grandma. So that was all a part of me. To reach out. But they had a lot of help. So we started traveling back through Mississippi. And I saw the water. It used to be the Gulf of Mexico. Saw the magnolia trees. I said, I think we can do this. I was Antonio and I. And purchased a property, 30 acres, in Brooksville, Mississippi, in the country part of it. And that's where I am now.
Okay, wonderful. Well, like you said, you touched on the fact that the women in our family were really not to put shade on the men, but the women of our family have always been strong, dominant women who I think every single woman in our family has that same aspect. It's definitely a deep, in-rooted spirit in reference to looking after people, bringing people into the house, taking care of them, helping them get on their feet. You know what I'm saying? We're all so very passionate about that. I've seen it all my whole entire life, and it's very much a part of me as well. The thing about homeless people, it just gets my goat. I think that's one of my passions. I've worked with, just trying to provide for people over the years. And I watched my mother take people off the street. I've watched my great-grandmother take people off the street. Because just to step back a little bit, when we were talking about my great-grandmother Mariah, I wish I had the piece on that I bought the other day, but my great-grandmother Mariah actually raised her daughter, my grandmother Annette's 4 children, because my grandmother died at the age of 36 from breast cancer. So my mom lost her mother at the age. Yeah. I don't know
57, 58.
I don't know what year she passed. Okay, but my mom lost her mother at the age of 13. So her grandmother stepped in and raised her and her younger sister and younger brother. So my mom had 3 siblings. So there was 4 children altogether. My mom was the second oldest. She had an older brother, Carl Kingsley. Then my mom, Carol Marie Dee Robinson. Then the next one was Theodore Van Robinson II. And then the youngest daughter was Sheila Robinson. So my mother didn't get the joys of being able to grow up with her mom in full. And that affected her very much. It affected her very, very much. And I've heard my whole entire life just how beautiful of a spirit my grandmother was. And I got a chance to witness just how beautiful my great-grandmother was, because she was still alive. She didn't pass away until I was 6. She passed away. No. Papa Jean passed away first. And then my grandmother passed away a year later. She didn't last a year after that. So between 6 and 7
are in our family plot.
Yeah.
In Staten Island.
Okay. Talk about that. Talk about that.
My brother, when he passed, it was 1971. July of 1971, and we were in Holland, and we were looking for a funeral director and a place. So we had never heard. It's Frederick Douglass Memorial Park in Staten Island.
Okay.
And so he was the first one. So my Aunt Florence, she bought 3 plots.
Oh,
But you
okay.
could bury 3 people per. So she bought 3 plots.
Uh-huh.
So part of those 3 plots are the plot where my brother is, my sister Victoria is there, and my mother is there.
Okay.
And then the other plot was Aunt Joe. I don't know who passed first. Aunt Joe, Aunt Mariah first. But they're in that one.
Yeah.
They're in the second one. And Aunt Florence and her daughter.
Okay,
She had a daughter, Butter.
Uh-huh.
They're in one. Aunt Florence and Butter. And there was a family friend. Like we said, we take people in.
Right.
Brother Jones.
Okay.
He lived with the family for many years. He's in that plot.
Okay.
And then the third plot is Aunt Mariah, Aunt Josephine, and I believe Papa Gene.
Okay.
You have to find that. And then Uncle Frank's kids, Davina and the brother, they're in another section.
All in the same all in the same
yes.
cemetery.
Yes.
Where's my grandmother buried?
Aunt Mariah?
No. Annetta.
I'm not sure because that was not. We didn't even have that.
Okay.
Remember, she died in either 57 or 58.
Right.
So it wasn't until 71. So I don't know where she died.
Where she's buried
Where
at?
she's buried.
Okay.
Where she's buried.
I think my mother knew.
We
but
didn't lose too many people. It was like in the 40s we lost people, and then it skipped, and then it was a few. But your mother was one of the first.
My grandmother, yeah.
Your grandmother was one of the first, and then that was very hard on everybody. I remember being in camp, and I wanted to go home because she had passed.
Right.
And our family was very close-knit.
Close-knit,
And then
yeah.
they said, no, she's going to be buried soon, so there's no sense in. But just at that time, Vicky had twins. That's why I'm going back to that time. Because it was a death and a birth.
Right.
At that very time.
Can you do me a favor and talk to me a little bit about my grandmother? But let me check the time because oh shoot, it's 10:36. We gotta go. All right, everybody. That was a good enough interview. Thank you, Aunt Margo, for taking this time.
I'm glad to be out here with my family once again.
Yes.
And enjoying the weather. I have no problems with the weather.
Right.
Can't control it. I love it.
And just so you know who's doing the interview, let me switch this around so you can see my face. Okay, so it is I, Naa-Anorkor Okai, second born to my mother, Carol Marie Dee Dee Robinson Okai. Thank you all. Love you much. Bye.